There we go. There we go, ladies and gentlemen. A little wisdom for you this morning. Naval, I forget how to say his last name, but many of you might not even know who he is, right? Like you might not even have ever been introduced to him. He's a billionaire. He's a tech billionaire, right? He's built it in the tech space, right? He's a billionaire. I always tell you guys, success leaves clues, right? So most people don't become billionaires. So there's a reason that people become it, right? It's not out of luck. If it was lucky, like someone in your family would become a billionaire, right? It's not luck. There's actual process, there's mindset behind getting to and achieving our goals. So again, success leaves clues. You should always be taking in information from people further along than you so that you can apply that information and cut your learning time shorter. So there's so much wisdom that's out there. I used to say this a bunch when people would bash the internet or bash social media. Oh, it's doing a disservice to our society. I'm like, you're privy to, it's how you use the internet, right? You're privy to conversations and information that our parents and grandparents would have never been privy to. You would have never been privy to a billionaire. The most you had is the encyclopedia and the library, right? Like you can't get information. Now we can sit in a room, watch a video, and take in information that can completely change our lives. If we're not doing that all the time, I don't know what we're doing, right? If that's not constantly how you're thinking, you might not want to get to the life that you don't need a break from. But that's why we do this, is so we can get focused. That was something that I wrote down. He said, you got to focus a lot of times. And we've talked about this on a ton of these, right? We lose focus. There's too many things that we're thinking about. There's too many distractions. And in order to get to the life that we want, we need to focus on certain things, right? We need to get blinders on and say, this is the direction I'm going. Have you resolved that in your life yet? Right? Have you resolved that in your life? Have you said, hey, I'm cutting out all of the right distractions and all the things and I'm getting focused? I hope you have. A couple notes that I wrote down, right? Attention is all we have. Where we give our attention, that's all we have. Whether it's in the present, right, or what we're thinking about, our attention is all we have right now. When he talks about life is short, the number one thing I thought about was in our text, 177 Mental Toughness Secrets. It talks about having a sense of urgency, right? And in that chapter with sense of urgency, which isn't the chapter I was going to dive into, but in that chapter, it talks about the timetable of how much we have left to live, right? Like if the average person lives to 75 or 80 or whatever it is, it counts down your hours. It counts down like the hours you have or like the minutes you have left. And sometimes we have to have that as a reminder when life gets us bogged down and we're not moving. We have to remember like this is going to end at some point. Like you're not going to have the energy to do certain things. Like we're all going to die. Like that's the way this is going to go. So that sense of urgency in your mind saying, you know what, I got to get to it. He said something really important that I've been talking to a lot of people recently. I don't know why this has come up a bunch, but like you shouldn't be doing things you don't want to do, right? Like especially like jobs, especially like work, right? I was just on a call yesterday and like jobs, having a job that is super stressful. Again, he talked about stress, right? Unresolved problems. The job has is giving you right these conflicting desires. I don't want to be there. I do want to be there. I don't want to do this. I do right. So we have these conflicting desires that causes the stress, and people are ending up sick. They're ending up in the hospital. They're ending up burnt out. They're ending up mentally drained. Like all of these things are being taken from our lives for a paycheck. How do we do that? Why do we do that? Why don't we just find new work? Why don't we just move to the next thing? If life is going to end, is that how we're going to look back and like, man, I really struggled through getting this paycheck? Like that just to me is not life. And we have to understand that for us that are going off to design our ideal life, you're going off to create a life you don't need a break from. You have to take these opportunities to say, I'm going to make a decision. I'm going to take a risk. I'm going to go do things that like I want to do that serve me, that serve the future version of me. We have to get very clear on that stuff because otherwise we will waste this time. Again, I wrote down sense of urgency. I wrote down stay present. Then I wrote down self-esteem. We talked about people not liking themselves. It's a big deal. I don't know if you've identified this inside of you, but your reputation with yourself. How good, how strong is your own reputation with yourself? How strong is that? That like you trust you. You trust that like your decisions, the things that you do, the things that you like you have a great reputation with yourself. Said another way, the integrity you have with yourself, meaning you do what you say you're going to do. No one's going to like you more than you like you, right? It's true. You can't expect your spouse to like you, love you more than you love you, right? Like that's not how it works. You can't expect your friend, someone that you know, to love you more than you love you. Do you hold yourself to the standard? Do you hold yourself accountable? Do you hold yourself to, right, the expectation that you follow your word, you do what you say you're going to do? Hopefully, hopefully, because these are the things, these are the differentiators, ladies and gentlemen. No one said this process was going to be easy, but it's going to be worth it if you do this work, right? You actually take time. All the stuff that Naval was talking about, again, is teaching you to slow down, is teaching you to capture your thoughts. When he talked about the stress part, he talked about like how often do you just like have the anxiety or the stress and then start thinking like, man, where does this come from? How do I feel this? Maybe I should go talk to someone, talk to my friend, talk to my therapist, like do something that gets me to understand what I'm thinking, how to take my thoughts into captivity, how to think about what I'm thinking about. That really is the key. And that's the stuff that we talk about all the time on these calls that we have to get better at. We have to get better at thinking about what we're thinking about because Naval, all the other people that we put in front of that I put in front of you all say the same thing, right? It's a mindset thing. It's what's happening up here. It's not what's happening out there. It's not the economy. It's not your family. It's not your job. It's none of those things. It's here. And so if you change this, your life will change. And that's the work, ladies and gentlemen. That's what we got to continue to do. Grow that self-esteem. Work on you. When there's no enemy within, the enemy outside can do you no harm type of thing, right? Like if you're not battling with you, if you've worked out all of your own internal things, if you've gone through your own therapies, if you've gotten into your thoughts, if you've really identified yourself, right? Maslow's hierarchy of needs, right? Self actualization is the top of our needs to know oneself. How well do you know oneself? How well do you know yourself? How high is your self esteem? How much do you respect yourself? If we just work on that, the external world changes. You won't put up with the stuff at your job, so you will leave. But maybe we have low self esteem to believe that we can do anything better. Maybe. I don't know. But you got to identify this stuff if you want to get to the life that you don't need a break from. There was a bunch of chapters in here that I could have chosen. There's a bunch of chapters in here that we could have taken a look at, but here's one that just stood out to me. World class attitude leads to world class happiness. He talked about happiness right at the very beginning, right? A lot of people talk about happiness, but I hope we understand that happiness comes from having a great attitude, having a great mindset, having a great thought life. That's what leads to it, right? And so we have to remember this all starts up here. Here's what it says in the text. It says, world-class performers all seem to agree that attitude is everything. Our research shows some champions are more focused on attitude than others. While two people might be at the same level of success, the one more focused on attitude reports being happier. While the masses try not to have a bad attitude in their struggle to survive, champions have a positive attitude and always try to improve their mental approach to life. I want to say that again. And always try to improve their mental approach to life, right? That's the game. Are you constantly trying to improve how you approach life from a mindset standpoint, how you think about life, how you think about pain, how you think about happy, right? How you think about it. It's a big deal. Anyway, it says, while average people view the idea of attitude as fluff and rah-rah motivation, the world class sees it as a cornerstone of life. They realize their attitude has an impact on everyone they meet and everything they do, as well as a monumental effect on their level of happiness and fulfillment. At some point, champions realize the self-fulfilling nature of their own mental approach to life and make a decision to talk themselves into the attitude they wish to have. With this mind, it would make sense that the higher ups in any organization have better attitudes. In our research, we found this to be true in most cases, yet our research disclosed something I believe is even more profound. The better the attitude towards life, the happier people seem to be. This proves the old idea that we create our own sense of happiness, regardless of our situation or our lot in life. I hope we all understand that, right? I hope we all understand it. I just got you, Rob. There you go. Thank you, Sandra, for that too, also. Um, I hope we understand that we create our happiness. You, me, we create it. It's not what's happening out there. It's not your job. It's not your, right? The kids, like I'm telling you, it's not those things. It is us. It is our mental approach to life. It is how our attitude is, right? Again, there's only two things we can control in this life, ladies and gentlemen. We can control our actions and our attitude. That's it. That's it. On a daily basis, are you controlling your actions, what you choose to do, and your attitude, how you choose to think about and feel things? That's what you have control of. How good are you at controlling those things? Right? That's what we have to work on. If you're not feeling the abundance and the joy and the happiness, if that's not your default feelings, that's not your default setting, well, where do we start? We start talking ourselves into it. That's what it says. We start talking ourselves into how we want to feel, how we want to think. We start affirming, we start reprogramming this brain. That's how we do it. But it's not going to come from the external. It's all going to come from the internal, right? Naval in the video talked a little bit about how we define pain. Like just because you go through something, right, outside of physical pain, right, like mental pain, anguish, those are like how we define it. What if we defined it differently? If we think about it differently, maybe it's not pain. Maybe it's not painful. Maybe it's a learning lesson. Maybe it's something completely different that empowers us instead of makes us feel like we're struggling, like it's a problem, like there's an issue. It's just how we reframe it, how we think about it. He gave that example in the video. He said, hey, go back 20, 30 years, whatever it is, and like put yourself back in a situation and try to feel and try to think of how you were feeling in that time, what was around, like all the things. And he said, for him, if he went back, he said, I wouldn't change anything. I would just go through it with a different attitude. That's all he said. I wouldn't change anything about my life. I would just go through it with a different attitude. I wouldn't have so much emotion. I wouldn't have so much anger. I wouldn't have so much of that stuff. I would enjoy the journey. It's hard for many of us to take this word and like take it in and say like, hey, let's enjoy this journey. But you can if you control your thinking, you control your attitude, you control your thoughts. That's how you can enjoy the journey. You can go through anything because you think about it differently. It's not a problem unless you make it a problem. But that's why we have to focus on our thought life, ladies and gentlemen. That is why, here's what it says in this quote. It says, I have a one-word definition of attitude, life. Attitude is the difference maker in life. It's the treasure that lies within you. Positive attitude is the key that jumpstarts your life. Attitude dictates whether you're living life or life is living you. Attitude determines whether you are on the way or in the way. We get to control our attitude, ladies and gentlemen. That's what you need to do. The action step for today says do a quick test on a scale from 1 to 7, 7 being best. How good is your attitude towards life? Use critical thinking and be honest. If you score less than a 7, remember that attitude is a decision and you can upgrade your worldview at any time. Attitude is a perception created in our minds that has little or nothing to do with our circumstances, events, or other people. What did I say? Right? I keep telling you. I'll read that sentence again so it sticks. Attitude is a perception created in our minds that has little or nothing to do with our circumstances, events, or other people. It is the foundation of all our habits, actions, and behaviors. If you are a person or you're around a person that blames other things for the reason they are the way they are, the reason they have the attitude they have, you know that they're living in a middle class mindset. They're not at the world class mindset yet. For us, for you, the reason you're on this call is so we can get to the life we don't need a break from. That's why we started these calls, is so that we can continue to learn and grow and become the best version of ourselves so we can get to the life that we deserve. What's it going to require? It's going to require us to change. The thesis, if you change your thinking, you change your life. So there's some thinking that you have that has you exactly where you are in life, some beliefs that have been ingrained in you either fight by yourself or other people that have you exactly where you are in life. In order to get to the next level in life, you got to change how you think. You got to change your attitude because this is the foundation of how we move through life, ladies and gentlemen. I know you can do it. I never said this was going to be easy, but this is going to be worth it. It's going to be worth it. I love you guys. I want you to win. You deserve it. Your families deserve it. If nobody tells you, I'll always tell you, you deserve to win in this life. You deserve to have all your dreams come true. You deserve it. Now you got to go to work. Now you got to change. Now you got to become different. Now you got to get to that next version of yourself so that you can watch all those things happen. Go out today, do something that scares you, do something that pushes you out of your comfort zone, do something that your future self is going to thank you for. We'll jump back in here on Friday. I'll see you guys soon. Take care.